So welcome, Said Muradov Sardor.
When I meet with adults or older people that it has been a while since I last seen them, first we greet with each other. Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam, yaxshimisiz, tuzimisiz. And then we ask pretty standard question. And that is, what you have been doing lately? In return, I get pretty standard responses. They usually start talking about their academic life, jobs, family and relationship. And when it's my turn to answer those questions, I start talking about the new cartoon that I just started to watch. And right there, the fun part begins. They stare at me for a couple of seconds and start making fun of me. Because they don't expect a grown-up adult like me to be still watching cartoons. And I don't just disagree with them, I actually think it's much more exciting to watch cartoons as an adult than it ever was as a kid. And before I share with you why it's so awesome to watch, let's just try to understand why some adults might think the other way around. Now, when those same old people were kids, they also had cartoons to watch. But they served a specific purpose, you see. The fate of the cartoons has changed in the 1980s, when the former president of the USA, Ronald Reagan, removed the restrictions of advertisements in the cartoons. In the meantime, gigantic toy manufacturers were asking themselves, how are they going to sell these toys? What would be the most optimal marketing strategy? And since the restrictions were gone, they came up with the idea of creating cartoons out of the toys that they produced. That wasn't awfully terrible, as the number of cartoons has significantly increased. But the content itself shifted out of the entertainment industry towards marketing. So the main idea was not to create an amazing plot, a great storytelling, or a fascinating character development. The main idea was to create great-looking protagonists. They knew if they could somehow convince the kids that the characters were so cool, children would ask their parents to buy their merchandise. And I believe we can all agree on how convincing kids can get. Right? How can you say no? What an amazing marketing strategy. But since the focus of those type of cartoons started to target children alone, for adults, it became a bit boring to watch. Some even started to consider that they are meaningless, a total waste of time. And that's how I believe that the stereotype cartoons are only for kids has been developed. And it's been passed down through generations. But with years passed, we humans, we did what we are great at. We developed the animation industry, just like how we develop almost anything over the course of time. Right now, the competition among cartoons is so extreme that so-called program-length commercials won't survive anymore. And now, let's try to look at the incentives behind watching cartoon as an adult. As adults, some of us want to become successful business owners. For that, we need to be creative with challenging the status quo, coming up with unique business models, and have to find a better source for creativity than watching cartoons. Because they have no boundaries, and this can open up our minds to new possibilities and imaginations. Let's take a look at an example. If you think about these three things, a sponge, a pineapple, and a snail, they actually really don't make sense together, right? I mean, what's the logical connection between them? But out of these three non-logically combined things, one of the most iconic cartoons of all times, SpongeBob the SquarePants, has been created. Yeah. How can a sponge named Bob own a snail named Gary? This is ridiculous. But that's the whole point of the cartoons. They don't have to make any sense. And this will turn us into a much more creative person who can think outside the box. As we grow older and enter the life of adulthood, we start facing new type of challenges. Stressful environments, for that be family, workplace, or peer pressure to name a few. In those moments, we might get introduced to alcohols, smoking, or even drugs. And if the risk is there, why not to try to overcome those potential challenges by watching cartoons instead of developing bad habits? Researchers indicate that watching cartoons is a great way to reduce stress. And this is not related with the colorful environments or the cute characters that they have to offer. It's more about the idea of hope and the comfort that they bring to us. Even a medical institution in New York uses the behavioral activation therapy sessions. So part of the treatment involves showing cartoons to their patients. Perhaps next time when you have a stressful environment in your family, try spinning an American cartoon called Simpsons. Also happens to be about family. I bet you'll relate to one of the family members of Simpsons, and then you can see how they are solving their own issues. And in the end of each episode, Simpsons always end up forgiving each other. That's an important life lesson to learn from. When I approach the people who consider that cartoons are only for kids, they usually suggest that I watch live-action series. You know, TV series where there are real-life actors or actresses. But the thing is, on average, the episodes of those live-action series are 40 minutes in length, while animated cartoon series are 20 minutes in length. Now, as adults living in an incredibly busy world, please tell me which one is more efficient to watch. And did you know that the modern cartoons are trying to close the generational gap between the adults and the children? Because there are not so many common activities, not so many common topics to discuss, adults and children hang out in different groups. But the modern cartoons are built in a way where the plot and the storyline are appealing for both generations. In the same cartoon, there can be a joke which is enjoyed by the kids, and some other jokes that will have adults cracking up. So cartoons are not just the pictures going frame to frame. They are a remarkable activity that brings people closer. And so tonight, before I go back and watch yet another cartoon, I'd like to point out one last thing. If cartoons provide for a change in perspective, if they help us escape stressful goals, and if they have the power to bring people closer, do you believe that the whole world can benefit from that? I for one do, and thank you.